proud of you, Jay.
Hi, Dana.
So proud of you.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Letting everybody in. Hi, everyone. Welcome.
Hello.
Hi, Shelly and Otto. Karen, Joy, John. Awesome. How is everyone? Well, good. Yeah. Awesome. Well, welcome to our 20th Lunch and Learn. This is incredible. I can't believe it's been 20 weeks since shelter in place and we started doing Lunch and Learns. I am gonna just do a little intro screen. If everybody could please place themselves on mute and in speaker view. Okay. So a couple of Zoom rules before we get started. Please mute yourself when you're not speaking. We recommend speaker view for presentation. Sharing your video is optional, though we love seeing all your beautiful faces. And then please type all questions and comments throughout the presentation into the chat. We will have a quick 5-minute Q&A at the end with our special guest speaker, Dr. Jacqueline Denysiak. So if you have any questions for her throughout the presentation, throughout her speaking, or any comments, we'd love to hear from you. Please use the chat. A quick update from Autism Tree. Very exciting news. We have reached over 350,000 people through our social media platforms to date since March 12th, which is incredible. This is through all of our platforms, our YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Everybody has been following us through this whole journey and staying connected in this way, which is fabulous. And then we have posts we've had shared over 542 times. Obviously what we're putting out there is really resonating with people because they're sharing it with their friends and community. We have now over 220 YouTube videos on our YouTube channel. Please subscribe today if you haven't already. We have amazing content pumping out daily that we post on our YouTube channel with different videos and content that are fun for our kids and families to do at home. 178 of those videos, if you can believe it, have been posted since March 12th. This is a whole community effort with all of our volunteers, all of our program directors, everybody who wants to stay connected to our families. They've been sharing these videos with us. We have a couple series. One of them is our Reading with Autism Tree series. We now have 55 videos that we posted of those, of volunteers reading a children's book for our kids and families. And we've reached over 35,000 people through that series alone. We've also provided 107 virtual events to date, which is amazing. And then we also have 17 events coming up between now and the end of September. So if you want to get involved or you want to see what's coming up, please feel free to reach out to me directly. And I'd love to plug you in and let you know what's going on in our community. And of course, we have now offered 17 virtual and 1 in-person programs out of our 20 programs since March, shelter in place. So we're still serving our families. We're committed to giving them opportunities to keep connecting socially. And without further ado, I'll hand it off to Dana Hepf, our co-founder and volunteer executive director. She's going to be introducing our special guest today. Thank you, Rebecca. I'm so happy to be here with you guys and to just give you huge gratitude that we've been doing this for 20 weeks. It's just every week I say it's mind-blowing because it really is. And all of this, you know, obviously evolved together. We've been growing with handling shelter in place, handling things that are happening to us, and it seems nonstop these last 20 weeks. I guess I want to just randomly, it wasn't my plan, but I do want to share with you that my nephew, Luke,
got married a year ago. He's a forest ranger. He married a young, beautiful little girl that's also a forest ranger. They work in the oldest state park in California, Big Basin. You might or might not have seen it, but the entire park burnt down. All the homes where they lived, there's like 20 homes, 26 homes, and the facilities where they worked. Katie was like at the headquarters. So I am kind of working daily with my brother on getting as much kind of furniture and things that anything, their house burned down, so anything that's in good condition and new. I believe my brother and his son, I don't have a date, are going to be coming down here with as big a truck as they can possibly drive and picking everything up. So I felt like I wanted to share that with you to keep them in your heart. It's a lot because my brother had just recently lost his wife to a long cancer fight. So it's a lot for his family. And I really love that during the Lunch and Learn, we have always welcomed being authentic and also just sharing how, you know, as much as you can on a Zoom call. So I do want you to know that I've learned, I guess, so much about during this time with you. And a lot of it is just, I never had done Zoom, and I feel really blessed that Zoom surprises me weekly. I feel like I have been able to get personal with everyone, and especially when you contribute and send in photos or send in videos. This is just an unprecedented time, and we keep doing what we're doing because the surveying that we do every time, especially after the Lunch and Learns, and we monitor all of our social media channels, and it just validates how much our families and our communities wanting this. If you haven't come to a Lunch and Learn before, the way that I've been introducing the speakers is to really first for myself reflect on that person and who they are in my life, in Autism Tree's life, and bring them forward like a family member. And I have to say this Lunch and Learn from my part is going to be a little bit different because Jackie, you know, I met Jackie when she graduated high school and was going straight into medical school in Poland like her mother did. She's in the process right now, 10 years into it. She just became an official doctor and is going through the transition right now to take over her mother's practice. And it's just something that is a huge blessing to me personally. Todd and I feel like Jackie's, like we treat her like a daughter. They treat Garrett like a son. We met on a Peru trip with Dr. Luis Sanchez, right when Jackie had graduated high school and Garrett was going into 5th grade. So it's been a very, very special relationship and a special blessing to watch her blossom, and she continues to do so. So some of you might have been at Autism Tree when she did a core team meeting inspiration. And every time I experience doing things with Jackie over time, over these last 10 years, I'm just always so blown away at each chapter and what I learned from her. So it's a huge honor for me to introduce her today. I'm going to start with the normal a question for you guys, but all of my inspiration today, as always, comes from our speaker, Dr. Jacqueline Denysiak today. I was thinking because of her and her journey these last 10 years, if you can type in and share, where do you want to be in 5 years? And share that. And Jackie's going to be sharing her journey, how she's gotten to become a doctor. I love this photo. We've been encouraging people to send in photos to make our things more personal. And this photo was sent in by Juliana Jimenez. It's beautiful. It's from Italy, and it's September of last year, which is hard to believe what our world is like not even quite a year later. That is stunning. Anybody else want to type in where you want to be in 5 years? The video I chose today is a lot different than the videos I've shared in the past weeks, but I feel like it's a reflection when I saw it of like, that's what it takes to go after our big goals like Jackie has these last 10 years. So I'm going to start that, and I hope you enjoy it. Just I'm letting you know it's a lot different than the last videos I've showed over the last 19 Lunch and Learns.
Okay, here it goes.
Everybody wants to prize, but nobody loves the process. Everybody wants to be a champion, but nobody's willing to put in the work that it takes to be a champion. Everybody wants to hold up the trophy and say, man, I did it, but nobody's willing to put in the work that it takes to do it. I love the process. I love the thought of working for what I want. And I firmly believe you're never supposed to wish for it more than you're willing to work for it. Your expectations never supposed to exceed your effort. But a lot of people, they wish, and they're not willing to work. And the great thing about life has a funny way of testing all of us and seeing how bad we really want what it is that we say we want.
What if you get weak along the way and you throw in the towel on yourself, you surrender to your emotions? What then? A lot of people become discouraged, they become frustrated, and they say, oh, what the heck? And they go back to doing what they were doing before, saying it doesn't work.
Take quitting out your vocabulary. Take it out. Cry if you must. Rest if you must. But the worst thing you can do is quit. When you want something bad, you can't count the cost. Because if you count the cost and you see how much it costs, you might give up. So you got to go in knowing that I don't count the cost. I do as many reps as it takes. I study as long as it takes. I pay whatever the price is. You get to a point where you don't count it. You just do whatever it takes to get whatever you want.
Put yourself in a position where you can't retreat, where it's do or die, sink or swim. Here's what you find out. You'll develop incredible swimming skills. You'll find yourself stroking out like you've ever seen before. Through the inspiration of desperation, you become more creative than ever before. Throw your whole self into it. So as we look at the future, we can decide that from this day forward, as I look at all the dimensions of my life, looking at myself mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, I'm going to do all I can do to develop me.
When you knew what you're fighting for, what's your legacy, what you gonna do? You say you a champ, but do you practice like a champ? You say you a champ, do you fight like a champ? You say you a champ, do you have the mentality of a champ?
The universe responds to the man or woman that refuses to be denied. You've got to be willing to stand there and face disappointment, not have support, doubt yourself sometimes, be rejected again and again and again, and refuse to turn around until life gives it up. Nothing can resist a person that has that kind of commitment.
We send all of this. I love all the things you guys are sharing. And after the Lunch and Learn, we always do a follow-up email, and it'll have all your comments. It'll have the video. It'll have everything we covered today. And that video, I watched it a number of times because I just thought of different times, in my own life. And I was really thinking about Jackie and knowing her 6 years in Poland and just knowing what she's gone through to match and be in Kaiser Riverside, and now gearing up and just getting back not that long ago and taking over her mom's practice that her mom's built for a quarter century. There's no way to exaggerate the commitment. And that video is the closest thing I could find to really just hammering, like, how committed are you to what you're doing? When we really get committed, I mean, we are alone a lot of times. We don't have the support we need, and we have to endure. And I feel like we're all on some level experiencing that just through going through a global pandemic that we've never experienced. We are having to learn how to manage in ways we don't even know how, but we're sticking to it and we're enduring. So I always want you guys to be proud of yourselves every week coming together. And this quote, again, I picked out with the inspiration of Jackie in mind. Think of yourself as you wish to be, not as you are today. And I think that's just such a beautiful quote for all of us. And I think it's really relevant with Jackie taking over a practice that her mom has built for a quarter century, and kind of like now she's, going to be looking at how it's going to have her flavor. with her mom's foundation on it. And so I'm going to bring up the final slide is really special because it's just a little snapshot of Jackie over the years with Autism Tree. And her family has come to our big events and been an ambassador, been in tables. I love the picture of Jackie in front of UCSD. I love the picture, you know, all of them, but her parents with her. And we're at the office there when Jackie did the inspiration. We gave her that award, the one she's in the center with the heart. Her and Garrett are at an Autism Tree event over at where the Sanford Consortium is in La Jolla, and it was actually Michael Leaf, the artist event. And it's just hard to believe how long ago some of these photos are from and all the different things. The first one in the corner there is one of Jackie's earlier events. She's with Tori Spelling's husband, Dean McDermott, was our ambassador or chairman for the autism ride in LA. And we had just met in Peru, and Jackie and her family came up to Orange County and did that ride. I just can't get over how you're such a high school girl in that photo. You literally had just graduated. And then the photo next to it with all the family, I think, has Dr. Sanchez is on the far end and Jackie's dad is on the other end. It just really beautiful how, you know, the Sanchez family brought in the Oros families in that photo. Some of you might know Michael and Tommy Oros, and then Jackie and her family. And I just feel so blessed by all the years. But Jackie, I just couldn't be prouder. If I thought about it without exaggeration, you know, having Autism Tree, founding it and being in our 16th year, I have to say one of my, you know, biggest blessings has been feeling like you're a daughter to our family, to me, Todd and Garrett. You're such a great sister to Garrett, and you bring out the best in him. And I don't tell you that enough, that me and Todd really love how you light him up and inspire him to keep being the best version of himself by being the best version of yourself. And it's really been a huge blessing. One of my biggest blessings at Autism Tree has been watching you blossom these last 10 years. And I look forward to continue doing that. And I look forward to everyone getting to know Jackie today. And if you haven't met her, perhaps you might make her your doctor in the future, as she's just opening up the office where in Hillcrest, where her mom's been for 25 years. Thank you, Jackie.
Mute myself. Hello, everybody. My name is Jacqueline Denysiak. It's nice to meet you all. Super happy to be here. Obviously, Dana, you shouldn't have. That was very touching. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for that kind introduction. My goal, so I did watch some of the lunch and learns beforehand, and I noticed that the common theme through all of them was just that everybody seemed to feel good afterwards. And so through a couple of anecdotes and just sharing my story, I hope to make you guys just feel good vibes today. So next slide, please. So first of all, thank you to the Autism Tree Project Foundation on behalf of, I guess, the county, San Diego County, for giving us, you know, virtual access to 17 out of the 20 programs that you guys have usually. Being able to host more than 100 virtual events since the onset of COVID. And I'm particularly grateful for these lunch and learns, and I'm really happy that I get to participate today. So thanks for having me. So my intentions today, I just want to talk to you guys about why I love ATPF. I'll go into a little bit my passion for medicine, how it came to be, and sort of the story. Some parts are funny, some parts are, you know, feel good, emotional. And I'd like to also discuss my future with ATPF and my goals. Next slide, please. So why I love ATPF. So as Dana alluded to earlier, I met the Hepf family, and now belovingly known as the Hofskis. We are Polish, so we try to, you know, make everybody Polish. So I met the Hofs back in 2009. It was a summer vacation to Peru that the Sanchez family had organized for a bunch of different families. And so that was how we actually initially met. And I mean, what's not to love about Dana, Todd, and Garrett? You know, I became, you know, more aware about autism spectrum disorders at the time. And remember, that was when I was finishing high school. Wasn't really on my radar that much, but when I really started to learn about ATPF and the grassroots organization and how, you know, they were trying to really, their motto was early detection, early intervention, I totally subscribed to that. So it was really easy for me to get on board and my family to get on board with supporting this organization and foundation and being a part of it. It's been great to see it develop and evolve from, you know, hosting community events, which on the next slide, you'll see a picture of me and Garrett, my little bro from 2009. So small community events like this, I think it was the Wright Family Picnic is what Dana told me, where, you know, I got to see Garrett. I think he gave a little bit of a speech at that age. I think he was maybe 8 or 9. And, you know, I saw this foundation flourish into now hosting a neuroscience conference where people from all over the world are coming to exchange information and, you know, just be a pillar of support for this foundation. So it's been really great to be a part of it, and I'm happy to be here to this day. So I'm going to tell you a story. It involves parking tickets. So when I was summer before senior year of high school, and I felt like I was on top of the world. I was, you know, in my ultimate year of school. I felt like I had everything going on. I knew what college I wanted to go to. I was ready to launch. And, you know, I had been elected senior class president, and I was feeling good. And my friends and I would frequent the beaches of San Diego County every, you know, day during the summer. And I just didn't really fully appreciate parking rules. I thought the rules didn't apply to me. And so I would go, you know, and park at the beach in the 2-hour parking spots, but I would park all day. And I would I had acquired maybe 12 parking tickets in the span of 3 weeks. And I did what anybody does with parking tickets. I put them in the glove box. I thought that's what you're supposed to do. And a couple weeks later, my dad had received a letter. I don't know if it was the city treasury or DMV. Someone contacted my parents and said, this car has so many parking tickets, you have to pay. And rather than get reprimanded, I was called into my parents' office and they told me, you know, Jacqueline, this is unacceptable. We expect better of you to abide by the city rules, but you're gonna pay this off. They're like, you're gonna work in mom's office for a couple of weeks while her secretary is on vacation. And I was like, whatever, I can answer a phone. Like this is not an issue. And what ended up happening is I go to work and turns out the secretarial job is actually very involved, you know, answering phones, scheduling appointments, you're bringing patients in, you know, getting them ready to see the doctor. It's pretty involved. And one patient came in, she was middle-aged, and she looked at me, and my mom and I, we look really similar. You can appreciate it on the pictures, but, you know, especially this part of us looks very similar. And she goes, "You're the doctor's daughter." And I'm like, "Hello, yes, my name is Jacqueline. It's nice to meet you. Let me check you in." And she said to me, and it really resonated with me, she said, "I have been your mom's patient since the time that she was pregnant with you." And I was like, oh, that's so nice, you know, but then it really hit me like, whoa, the loyalty, the continuity of care that my mom had with this patient, and, you know, just the trust that patient had in my mom to be with her for so many years. And so that was actually a huge inspiration for why I went into family medicine, so that I could develop these relationships with my patients and really, you know, get to know them over the course of you know, their lifetime and everything. So, you know, who knew that parking tickets to lead to something so great? But so that's my first anecdote. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, you know, I graduated from high school from Francis Parker School. I loved my time at Parker. High school was an epic time for me. I'm really grateful and honestly love giving back to Francis Parker as well. And I love all things Parker. I even made Garrett Hepf, I made Todd and Dana send Garrett Hepf to Parker. I was like, you have to do this. It's gonna change his life. And so I love all things Parker. After I graduated, you know, I was supposed to go to a university here in Southern California, and I had committed, I'd paid my deposit, but you know, something sort of shifted in me, and I decided that I wanted to be a doctor many years prior, probably like 13, 14 years old. And I just wanted to do it now. And I had a very clear vision of what I wanted. And instead of, you know, going to college, I decided to go to medical school in Poland. You might ask why Poland? I mentioned that I'm Polish. And so I hopped, you know, the Atlantic Lake and I went to a 6-year medical program there. The studies were in English, thank goodness, because I think medicine in Polish would have been quite a task. But I graduated, and as you can see, the photos. So the picture on the left upper corner is, you know, I was giving an introductory speech at my high school graduation, but the picture in the middle is a picture of my parents looking at me graduating, and the picture on the right is me graduating from Poznan University of Medical Sciences and getting my diploma, which I really just like that. I like that the person who was taking my photo knew to look up at the balcony to see my parents looking down, which I thought was great. Anyways, after graduating from medical school, which by the way, so Poland is cold. It is a cold country. I had never really experienced weather before. You know, medicine is hard. Turns out medicine's very hard. And Francis Parker did a great job of preparing me with good study habits and a lot of foundational, you know, I had solid principles as to how to study and how to learn and everything. But, you know, medical school the learning curve was quite steep. I made it through. I took my licensing exams and made the decision that I really wanted to be a resident in the state of California. Residency is the time that comes after medical school where you're in training to become, you know, the specialty that you want to do. So I wanted to be a family medicine resident so that I could be a family medicine attending physician. So this process into residency is very competitive, especially for an international graduate like myself. And so in order to, you know, buff up my resume, I decided to take a research year. And under the direction of Lori Daniels, who's pictured down on the bottom right, she is a world-renowned cardiologist. Of course, she would never tell you that because she's the most humble person that I've ever met. But Lori Daniels, she took me on as a, you know, medical graduate to run her biobank lab, where we were basically banking specimens to run different biomarkers and to see, you know, biomarkers and how they relate to different cardiovascular diseases. And so there's a picture of me doing a poster presentation at the American Heart Association in New Orleans. I think that was 2016. So, you know, she totally took a chance on me, and I got a couple of abstracts out of that research year, which was wonderful and definitely helped me achieve the residency match that I wanted. Next slide, please. So this is the moment of truth. And I don't know if you know someone in medical school, you're probably familiar with what's called the match. And the match is essentially an algorithm that assigns medical student to hospital for training, residency program. And what you do is you apply as the medical student, and the hospitals call you in for interview, and then they end up ranking you. So you rank the hospitals where you want to go, 1 to 10 or 1 to however many interviews you get, and the hospital ranks you, you know, 1 to hundreds of applicants. And so, and then by virtue of this like algorithm, you match or you don't match. So this video that I'm about to show you is very raw, and I've never shown it before publicly. I've shown it to maybe a couple of people close to me. You can play it. Hopefully it'll work. Oops. So the moments of anticipation, a couple minutes before 8 o'clock, and then I'm waiting for the 8 a.m. results to come in, and I matched. And that's the impact that it had on 6, 7 years of work. So sorry. I practiced this beforehand, but it always gets me. So I'm really, the part that gets me is that, you know, the fact that you match is it's a really noble thing, because you know, from that point forward, you know, patients' lives are in my hand. I'm making clinical decisions in residency, and that affect humans, and it's such a the gravity of it still makes me really emotional because it's so much work. I apologize, I'm a really ugly crier. But on to the next slide, please. So I started I started residency at Kaiser Permanente Riverside Medical Center, where I'm showing here my first day of residency and my last week of residency, and a sign of the times with the mask. And I have to say, residency is a three-year commitment where you're making what I believe is below minimum wage, just based on the hours that you spend in the hospital. But fittingly so, you're almost like a resident of the hospital, and you are just working. You're working really hard, and you're working to just better yourself, so that you get a lot of exposure to a lot of different cases, so that when someone walks into your clinic with chest pain or shortness of breath, you know what to do. And I'm really grateful to my attendings at Kaiser Permanente. I think, you know, my residency program was very humane in comparison to, you know, what you might hear at other programs. And I really felt like this was another family that I got to be a part of. And I mean, just an experience that I'll never forget, and an experience that has really helped me become a better physician. So next slide, please. And then enter my mom and me and our medical clinic called Medicus MG Inc. We were established, we're about to celebrate our 25th anniversary. And it has been just such a pleasure, such an honor to work with my mother alongside her in you know, practicing family medicine. She is a generalist, so she's internal medicine trained, but you know, it's just been so amazing to just see, you know, and the feelings from the parking ticket days when you know, when the patients would walk in and say, "You're the doctor's daughter." The same thing's happening today. Now they're just even more excited that I get to be their doctor, and a lot of them are, you know, transferring their care to me and everything. So it's an amazing experience, and I'm just trying to, you know, learn the tricks of the trade and absorb and learn as much as I can from both my mom and my dad. My father, he is, you know, the brain behind the operation. He is a engineer by education, and he runs our family practice and from the business side. And then my mom and I are responsible for the medical side. So it is a true family affair, a family business, family practice, which I absolutely love. And then my parents' story, just because I think it's a sweet anecdote as well. Both my parents immigrated from former communist Poland back in, my dad came in the 70s and my mom came in the 80s. And, you know, when my mother came here, she was actually an OBGYN back in Poland, and just wanted to go on a tourist visa to America and see what it was all about, make some extra money working as a nanny. And so when she went to Polish church, my dad was at Polish church as well. And, you know, my dad approached her and said, "Oh, hello, welcome to the community," whatever. And he's like, "What do you do?" And she said, "Oh, I'm a nanny." And he's like, no, what do you actually do?" And she said, "Oh, I'm a doctor," back in Poland. And he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Let me help you." So he convinced her to stay rather than go back to Poland. They got married, and he helped her recertify in medicine. You know, he helped her pay for her Kaplan courses to prepare her for the exams. She had to learn English. It was like this whole thing. And then they moved across country so that she could go to residency in Atlantic City, New Jersey. And then after she had completed her residency, they decided to come back to California, and that's where I was born, here in San Diego. So I'm back, and I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to, you know, have kind of accomplished the dream. This was the plan for the last decade. So I'm just really happy. Next slide, please. So with the future with ATPF, since I'm back in San Diego, I want to be, you know, an active member of this community. I love ATPF and everything it stands for. Like I mentioned, you know, prevention is always better than treatment. You know, early detection, early intervention is always going to be the best option. And so any way that I can help and be involved with ATPF, I will be. I really appreciate Dana asking me to come here today, and I'll just open it up for Q&A if you guys have any questions. No question is too ridiculous or too outlandish, so thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jackie. Oh my gosh, your story is incredible. And I love the story about your parents as well. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for sharing from the heart of just, you know, your dedication and your commitment and your ambition from the very start is incredibly admirable. I that video that Dana shared nailed it. Like I feel you are in the embodiment of that, and it's really inspiring, and especially to our community, especially now since we are so uncertain about the future, to see somebody who has just grinded and keeps that mission and keeps that thought that I'm going to keep going no matter what. We can get through this all together. So thank you. This is so needed. And I'm really grateful that you were able to share your story with us today. Thank you. So I'll open it up to any chat questions, any comments. Karen said, thank you for sharing your journey. You are truly a precious human being, beautiful inside and out. It's been fun to watch you forge ahead all these years. It's incredible that you've been with Autism Tree for 10 years.
Karen, on our pre-call, we were talking about you because Jackie showed me that picture of her and Garrett, and she was like, what event was that? And I couldn't believe how cute that picture was. I remember her at the event. I just didn't know there was any pictures. And so I was telling her all about the Wright Family Picnic, because that was her first entree into Autism Tree, which was really a sweet memory.
I love it. We also have, let's see, Susan, thank you for sharing your wonderful story. Alexandra Tacone, one of our board members. Thank you, Alex, for joining us today. She says, I will be sending off my oldest to his first year of college after an amazing summer adventure. Wow, how exciting. Alex, do you want to share anything? I think she might have joined later. All right, well, we have, oh, Padmini, thank you for, she has a question. So Jacqueline, studying in Poland, do you think your approach to medicine is different, and in what ways? That's a great question.
It is a great question. Thank you for asking. Yeah, so things are a little bit different in Poland. They have nationalized healthcare there, and the medicine is the same. So they uphold, very high European standards and worldwide standards with workup and diagnostics and stuff. Sometimes, it was a little bit more challenging in different ways to get certain tests ordered, and MRI could take months sometimes. So that was interesting. But I would say that I had the fortune, and some other patients had the misfortune of getting the diagnosis very late, only because I'll share another story with you. I had this one patient come in with something called goiter. Goiter is where your thyroid enlarges so big, and it's very obvious when you see it, and when you've seen it once, you'll remember it forever. But this lady came in and she had really severe goiter, and I asked her, I said, what brings you into the clinic today? And she said, I can't put on my turtleneck. So that was just that was what I encountered on a pretty regular basis, was just maybe not nearly as informed populations, because people who live in the countryside don't have access to medical care as readily as some of the people who live in the cities. And I think that provided me with a lot more experience, because I saw a lot of later stage diseases that I wouldn't have otherwise seen. So in that way, I think it was beneficial for me, and hard to see sometimes, late stage breast cancers, late stage things like that. So but I think overall, because the imaging, for example, was hard to obtain, some more advanced imaging, the clinicians were really good clinicians. The physical exam went a long way, and being able to determine, just based on laboratory abnormalities and really deciphering, taking a look at all those little details in the context of the clinical story. I think really I was inspired by my professors and by my clinical rotations in Poland. It's different. it's different there. And I appreciate it. It was good for my training.
What incredible mentors that you had the chance to work under. It's really incredible. Did you experience any culture shocks when you came back to America and started working for your mom?
So I did come back to America back in 2015, is the year that I graduated. So, you know, one of the biggest differences between Europe and the United States is going to be the travel that occurs on foot. So I was walking to class every single day. I was walking to get my groceries. I was walking to hospitals and clinics all around the city. My campus and university was actually the city. So, you know, and that was, you would use, you know, public transportation, trams, you know, just to get around. And so that was different. I think even though I spoke Polish before going to Poland, and I was very familiar with the culture and customs, and that was my upbringing, but yeah, absolutely. It was a culture shock. I'm like this, you know, like San Diego native who like went to Parker and did, you know, I lived in this bubble. And I think I really challenged myself by going abroad, and it popped my bubble. And I think I just became a more well-rounded person. You know, I got to travel to places. It wasn't uncommon for us to take a weekend in Prague or say like, hey, I'm on the next train to Berlin. You know, Poland's in the heart of Europe. It was a really amazing experience. And I think I really grew up there. Not to mention all the normal, you know, growing pains of having to do your own laundry and having to cook for yourself and shop for yourself. And so, yeah, absolutely.
It's amazing. So what's your favorite thing about working with your mom and dad?
Oh, the family practice. So I think what's my favorite thing? There's so many things that I love. So first of all, being able to see her every day, because mind you, you know, when I moved to Poland, I am an only child. And when I moved to Poland, that was part of the shock for me too, not being able to see my friends and family as I normally did. But just being back and being able to see my parents pretty much every day and learning from her. You know, mom is mom, like she's my mamuya, but being able to like learn from her from like the medical aspects of her, you know, craft and the art of medicine that she's developed over the past, you know, my lifetime, 30 something years. And then learning the business aspects of medicine too from my father. So, you know, I definitely, I'm still learning, but that is probably my favorite part, just kind of absorbing it and taking it all in like a sponge. And, you know, right now, Dana had mentioned that I'm in transition of taking over the practice, and part of, you know, the trickiness and the difficulty of that is, you know, credentialing takes so long and it's so involved. They're doing background checks on me here and in Poland, and there's like so much going on. But, you know, among all these like challenges and stuff, at the core, like this is what I feel like I was meant to do. I was meant to be a family doctor here in San Diego, private practice with mom and dad by myself. Like it's just been so epic. I'm actually I'm also at that point where it's like, okay, I checked that box off, and now I'm really, you know, looking to stay involved and get involved in other things. And I think, you know, my energy is going to be put forth towards ATPF. And, you know, I think Dana had asked that question, where do you want to be in 5 years? And I don't know if we're going to go back to that or not, but, you know, I would love to, you know, just be more involved, and I don't know what kind of other opportunities I could have at ATPF, but be here, you know, local, help parents, help children, like in any way that I can. So.
I know you always got me thinking out of the box. This is like classic Jackie, Jacqueline Denysiak. No, you know what you got me thinking, Dr. Denysiak, is that taking our children to the doctor can be quite overwhelming. So we could do like a meet your doctor day just to get children used to meeting a doctor, going to their office. When Garrett was little, we had to practice going to the dentist at home as part of his home program for like a year, amongst other things like getting your hair cut and everything. But that could be really something fun in the future, Jackie, is having it be Meet Dr. Denysiak Day, if you wanted it. But for ABA, I think People don't realize how children on the spectrum, when they're little, we have to practice and practice and practice before we ever think of doing something. And personally, I love the idea of having, and I've never thought about this until just now, having Dr. Denysiak be a friend to all of our children. And same thing, it'd be nice one day to have a dentist like that, because both are very overwhelming. And that's something we really haven't done. And you just got me thinking about it when you said that. Just one idea.
I love it. New ideas, new ways to serve our community. And we're lucky to have you, Jackie, as a part of ours. Thank you so much for taking the time today. And thank you to everyone for joining us. I'd love to take a little group shot of everyone. We're at about time. So if everybody could turn their cameras on, we want to see your faces. I'll take a quick group shot. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us on a Wednesday. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. And thank you again, Jackie, for taking the time. And we'll be in touch with all of you soon. Hopefully, we'll see you all next week again.
We'll be sending out a follow-up email if you haven't been on Lunch and Learn before, and I'll have all the links. And Dr. Denysiak, if there's any additional links you want going out to everybody, we can add those too.
Yes.
For practice or anything.
Thank you.
Have a great week, rest of your week, guys.
Bye. Thank you so much. Have a